Oh, beloveds, good morning. Have you cleared all the wrapping paper? Are you still wondering at the amazement of the gifts that you have received, and wondering about the gifts that you have given? Was it the right size? Did they really like it? Are you still basking in the aura of these winter holidays? Or is the bloom already off the rose for you? I celebrate a lot of winter holidays. Those of you from UUCLV, you know that I celebrate Hanukkah, and I celebrate Christmas, and I celebrate 12 days of Christmas. We're in the last third of that run now. Today's the 9th day, and I did not receive 9 ladies dancing today. Thank goodness. That would be just, a lot in my house right now, and with COVID protocols and everything, I just don't know where I put everybody. But my tree is still up. And maybe some of you celebrate Kwanzaa at home. That's not a religious holiday, it's a cultural holiday, but there are many gifts associated with Kwanzaa. And then there's New Year's Eve, also a cultural holiday, not a religious holiday, although for some it has religious connotations. And there are different kinds of gifts. We don't typically exchange gifts on New Year's Eve, but there are different kinds of gifts associated with the new year. The gift of starting afresh. We can do that any day, but some of us think of that in the new year. So what wondrous gifts have you received? I think some of the most important gifts that we receive and that we can give is our time and our company with one another. Many gatherings were limited this year, as last year. And these are strange times, are they not? Perhaps you've gathered on Zoom instead, or had smaller family gatherings. But gathering is still important. It's why we're gathering today in 3 congregations together. And some of you already remarked how nice it is to see old friends from former congregations. During the holidays, I was reading something from a Reddit thread. There's something called AITA. Am I the well, it's not a pulpit word. Am I the mistaken wrong person here? As I said, it's not a pulpit word, but I'll leave you to figure out what the last A stands for. And in this article, in this piece, this person refused to help her husband pack to go to spend Christmas with his family because, well, she was specifically uninvited. Now, they were a married couple, and the husband's mother uninvited her from the family gathering because the mother-in-law felt that this woman didn't measure up to the mother-in-law's standards. In the previous year, the woman wore clothing that the mother-in-law found unacceptable for some reason at the family gathering. And her style and her sense of humor and the way she behaved wasn't aligned with the mother-in-law's way of being. And so the mother-in-law made it very clear that she expected her son to come for Christmas, but didn't want his wife to be present. I thought, well, that's really sad. Now, I think it's sad for a number of reasons, and I'm not going to insert myself into their family dynamics, because clearly there's a lot going on in that relationship, and I don't want to dissect a couple's relationship here and whether or not the son should have gone home. But how sad it is when we determine that someone just doesn't fit in here because they don't dress the right way. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And what gifts we lose out on when we make those determinations about another person because they just don't dress the right way. They're not like us. What might we lose out on? Beloveds, I wish I could tell you that that sort of thing has never, ever happened in a Unitarian Universalist church. I wish I could tell you that. But friends, I have witnessed it. Not here, not among us, but I have witnessed it in places. Oh, not so direct as you're not welcome here because you're wearing the wrong clothes. In more subtle ways, but ways that are just as damaging. I have witnessed well-meaning and friendly folks I have known to be friendly and warm, tell visitors, oh, and next time you come, you don't have to dress up. You don't have to put on a suit and tie. Please just wear your comfortable clothes. But what message does that send? Perhaps those visitors preferred to dress up for church. Perhaps it was their only opportunity all week long to dress up. I have witnessed us make assumptions about visitors in other congregations. And those assumptions have extended to the way that we expect people to behave when they enter our congregations. I've witnessed congregations say, we want to grow, we want to spread our message. As long as those people who come in behave as we do and think as we do. But what do we miss out on? What are the gifts that we miss out on when we expect others to conform to our way of being? Conformity seems to be something that we fall into rather easily. Maybe some of you went to school with an official school uniform. I did not. But I'll tell you, there were uniforms in school. In schools where there are not official uniforms, there are still uniforms for children who want to fit in. I was always just a little off. When I was in junior high school, it was still junior high school in those days, not middle school where I was. It was important to have blue suede Puma sneakers and the right color corduroy pants. And I had corduroy pants, but they were just the wrong colors, just the wrong shades. And I didn't have the right sneakers. I was always just outside. Didn't fit in. Perhaps you've had an experience like that, where you haven't fit in. And so I was excluded from the cool kids. I wonder if we do that unintentionally in our congregations. Now, I think the cool kids missed out on a lot by not getting to hang out with me, because I have to tell you frankly that I think I'm a pretty cool person now. My self-esteem has improved significantly since junior high school, and I think they missed out on a lot of my cool gifts, and I probably missed out on some things too. But I got over it. So what are we missing when we expect conformity? Reverend Teresa Soto asks us to consider that each and every one of us is fully human and fully acceptable as we are. We don't need to prove it to one another. They say, I cannot prove to you with quadratic certainty that what a disabled body holds is a story of wisdom beyond perfection. They're asking us to shift our mindset from looking at people who might be different as people who need to be changed or fixed, into looking at other people as a gift. We are all gifts to one another. I cannot prove to you with quadratic certainty that what a disabled body holds is a story of wisdom beyond perfection. How then can we make room for one another to receive the gifts that we have? Well, one way is by making sure that we have access for everyone. We provide our services on Zoom because we know not everyone has Wi-Fi, and some people phone in. And we have several people phoning in to the service today. we provide closed captioning on Zoom because we know that many people do better when they can read what is being said. Is the closed captioning perfect? No, it is not. But it provides some access. In physical space, how do we provide access? It's worth thinking about. Do we have the lighting that we need? Are there ramps available and elevators so that everybody can have access to every space? That's a beginning. And then, how do we meet each other? Do we meet each other where we are? Do we expect people to change for us, or are we willing to listen and learn? Are we willing to open our minds to new perspectives? Just because we've done a thing a certain way for a long time does not mean that it's the only way that thing can be done. When we learn from one another, new things open up. So several years ago, I want to say it was 2017 at General Assembly, the UUA, the UUA, we tried something new in general sessions. Instead of following a strict adherence to Robert's rules, we listened to some marginalized people who said a better way to do things might be, instead of having pro and con microphones where rows and rows of people line up to argue, a better way might be to leave time for people in the sessions to talk directly with one another and help each other understand where they were coming from. Beloveds, we tried that out, and do you know what? It was amazing. It was amazing. It cut down on the rancor and on the time that we spent arguing at the microphones. And we were able to do that because we saw each other as human and we listened. We accepted the gift of one another. Now, I know that if we can do that in our large body, in our large General Assembly, we can surely do these things in our congregations. Now, we are 3 congregations here. And I don't know what issues you're dealing with in each congregation, but what are the ways that we can accept the gifts of people coming in? What are the ways that we can learn from one another? What are the things, the old things that we need to put down, our old assumptions that we have to set aside? I keep thinking about that mother-in-law and what she lost by not inviting her daughter-in-law to spend Christmas with her. Perhaps she might have had a more relaxed Christmas. Perhaps she might have enjoyed it more herself if she could have accepted that there's more than one way to dress. I'm going to ask you to consider, this is homework. What are you willing to set down in order to open up and receive new gifts? How can we connect to one another by receiving and giving the gifts that we have for one another in this time? Can you do that? Let me hear an amen. I can't hear it. Can you do that? Yeah. I see some sharing in the chat already. You are welcome to share in the chat if you wish, or simply to go home and consider that. My wish for you in the new year is that you can let go of what you no longer need. Carry with you the lessons that you have learned and accept the gifts of one another. Beloveds, it is a gift for me to see you here this morning and to be with you. I accept the gifts of your presence.